So you have finally made the decision to start your Spanish learning journey. But what exactly does this journey look like? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a complete beginner's guide to learn the Spanish language. So there are a few basic things that I would recommend that you have so you can start learning Spanish. One of those being a notebook. And actually, I would have two of these so you can have one to just practice in writing Spanish, and then another one for actual lessons or different kind of grammar concepts that you might come across. The next thing I'd recommend is getting a Spanish verb book. Now, this is really nice so you don't have to have just like a whole bunch of lists of verbs like in a notebook, but you can have them all in one central location like this and have all of the conjugations plus examples of the different verbs as well. Then you will also want to get a Spanish grammar book. Now this is also nice because you have a lot of like the very basic and even up to advanced grammar concepts that we have in the Spanish language. A Spanish dictionary so you can look up words, and this one is Spanish to English and English to Spanish. Then also you are going to want to have a planner like this one, or you can have like a calendar that you can put on your fridge. And this is going to help you stay organized for when you need to study. I also recommend having some sort of course that you are following, like this one here. This is one that I had since college. So it just has a lot of different sections and chapters for different topics, like Gente Informa, so that is about your health. Gente que viaja, and that is people who are traveling. So this is going to tell you what you are going to study. Make sure that you always have pens, pencils, and highlighters on hand so you can write things down in your notebook and so you can write things down on your flashcards. Also on your sticky notes. A big reason why I recommend having those items is because they're really going to help you as a beginner in Spanish, but not just as a beginner, even when you are an intermediate and an advanced learner as well, because I use these items every single week when I'm learning Spanish. So you have a variety of resources that you can use, and that is a big part of language learning and being a Spanish learner, because you want to make sure that you tailor this experience to you and not to anybody else. Just because I buy a lot of physical resources doesn't mean that you have to as well. Now that we have a few basic resources, what exactly do we need to do today to start learning Spanish? Now we are going to start with vocabulary and with grammar. We need new vocabulary like nouns, adjectives, prepositions, and verbs so we can start to construct sentences. And then we need grammar so we're able to understand how to position each of those items and understand sentence structure in general. As you increase your vocabulary, that is going to open up more doors for you to learn. So you'll be able to write more, you'll be able to understand when a native Spanish speaker is talking to you, or if you're watching like a YouTube video or a movie or something like that, you're going to be able to understand new lyrics to songs that you're listening to as well. So developing a lot of your listening comprehension, then you're also going to be able to start reading in Spanish. One big tip I have for you for vocab acquisition is to always think about the future. So today, right, let's say you don't know any words in Spanish at all, you still have the opportunity to learn a bunch more looking towards the next few weeks and in the next few months. You can know numbers, colors, places, and a whole bunch of adjectives, but you just have to stay focused and not feel bad about where you are currently at. Let's say that you do have a verb book like this. What I don't want you to do is try to open this up and read it like it's like a fiction book that you're reading right now, because that is not how you're going to acquire the knowledge of verbs and verb conjugations. For example, let's say I go to page 50 and I see the Spanish verb here, brincar. And brincar means to jump or to hop. What I don't recommend you doing is looking at all of these and just trying to memorize each of those conjugations, because number one, it's not really going to make sense because you don't really have all the context of verbs yet. And also you need to understand how to use these verbs in a sentence. Just the idea of trying to memorize all these right now just makes my head spin. A tip for remembering Spanish vocabulary is to make a lot of connections. So there are a lot of cognates in between the Spanish language and my native tongue, English. For example, carro, which is car in Spanish. So you have carro and car. So those are very similar, and you can make that connection very easily, and that will make it a lot easier for you to remember that particular word. Another one is transportation, and that in Spanish is transportación. And a good thing about this particular word, transportación, is at the ending of it, you're going to see in a lot of other words like canción, which is song, nación, which is nation, and la destrucción, destruction. Also, with vocabulary acquisition, you're going to want to make sure that you know how to pronounce each of these words. So it's one thing just to look at that word and know the definition of it, but then you also want to be able to say it out loud, right? How to pronounce it correctly. So when you are having conversations with Spanish speakers, and that all starts with the Spanish alphabets. Make sure that you study that as well so you know how to pronounce each letter of different words. Now on to Spanish grammar. Now we need this so we can start to make sense of the Spanish language when it comes to sentence structure, what is going on, why do I have to say things this way, why does this word have to be in front of this word. Just like I'm speaking English right now, I'm actually using a lot of grammar rules. Even though I'm not thinking about them, they still exist. And that will be the same way when you are speaking the Spanish language as well. Learning Spanish grammar concepts really help to adapt your mind into the Spanish world, because there are a lot of things that don't transfer over from my native tongue English to Spanish. For example, we have a lot of different articles, in this case, definite articles that indicate masculine nouns, and there are feminine nouns, and the same thing with adjectives. There are masculine adjectives and there are feminine adjectives. So el niño means boy in Spanish, but la niña means girl in Spanish. Now when I go to the adjective section, I learn a few more things, like mi hermano pequeño. Now this is my little brother, but if you were to translate this directly into English, it would be my brother little. So you'll hear and see that pattern a lot. Another thing we have to realize is that the adjective has to agree with the noun in terms of its gender and whether it's singular or plural. Los hermanos pequeños, those are masculine endings, and then you have las hermanas pequeñas, so the little brothers and then the little sisters. Another Spanish grammar concept that is quite difficult for English speakers to adapt to is the verb to be. So for example, if I say I am hungry in English, right? In Spanish, you're actually going to say yo tengo hambre, and that means I have hunger. The verb tener in Spanish means to have. And then we can say in English, I am a doctor, but then in Spanish, we are going to say yo soy doctor. So I am a doctor. But then if you want to say I am tired in Spanish, that is going to be estoy cansado. So as you can see here, there's 3 different verbs that we're using just to say I am. And just like that Spanish verb book that I mentioned previously, you don't want to take this Spanish grammar book and just try to memorize all of the different grammar concepts really fast, thinking that that is going to make you fluent, like a fluent speaker in the Spanish language. That is not necessarily how it works. So of course it's good to be able to understand all the grammar concepts so you understand how to create sentences, but then when you're speaking, that is a not a completely different skill, but it's almost like an opposing skill. You can't just have everything in your head and never practice. So let's say that you study a lot of grammar concepts for 2 months straight and that's it, but you never speak, then you try to speak, you're going to find out that you don't actually know how to do it properly because you haven't practiced that skill. I know I've said a lot, and I'm sure that you're thinking to yourself, how in the world am I supposed to learn all this vocabulary and all these different grammar concepts? I have no idea where to start. And that is where some organizational skills will come into play, along with our planner and a study schedule, and then also some goals. The first step to creating a Spanish study plan is to figure out what your goal is for that particular week or for that particular month. So you could say, I want to learn the 20 most commonly used verbs in Spanish. I want to learn the body parts of the human body. I also want to learn the Spanish alphabet, right? So that would be your goal for this month. And then step 2 would be figuring out what are your normal routine activities. So that could be working, that could be going to work out, taking your dogs out for a walk, watching your kids, cooking, whatever that may be, and then putting that on your calendar, right? So knowing where do you have gaps so you can start to study Spanish. I personally like to use 2 different calendars. So I have one where I put all the different activities that I'll be doing throughout the day, like working, cooking, and cleaning. And then in this one here would be specifically just my studies for Spanish. And it just helps for me to keep those 2 separate. Now, a big reason why I'm telling you to find gaps for your study sessions is because you don't want to end up just cramming a whole bunch of vocabulary all at the same time because you are trying to, let's say, become fluent in a month. So if you're trying to learn 200 verb conjugations and you're also trying to speak perfectly all at the same time, in just like 1 week or 1 month, that's not really realistic. But if you can do that, then let me know. It's very important for a Spanish learner like you to realize that this whole journey of learning the language is not a sprint. It is a marathon. So let's say you have no idea how to create your own Spanish study schedule. You don't know how many words you should be learning this week versus next week. What's really going to help with that is looking up some different courses that you can take. I recommend some type of Spanish course so you can have some structure. So you're not just switching between a lot of different subjects from day to day, but you know exactly what you need to do every single week. And that is what a course can help you with, to understand exactly when you need to do things. And thanks to technology today, we have a lot of different applications that even have courses as well. So some different courses that you could take are Duolingo, Baselang, Babbel, Pimsleur, and Lingoda. So I'm not exactly sure which one of those you have to pay for, because I only personally have used Duolingo, but you can definitely research those and see if they have like a free option, because like with Duolingo, they have a free option and then you can also pay if you want more. So let's look at the Duolingo application and see how they are structured. So they are broken out into different units. In the first unit, you have intro, phrases, travel, family, shopping, and present tense. So you would have to complete that whole unit before you get into the next one. And then for each of these sections, like intro and phrases, they have different levels as well. With other courses, you might have something more in depth, where you have exactly what you need to study every single day for a particular topic. So that's also something to keep in mind. That will also depend on the type of language learner that you are, how much structure that you need. Do you need like a full-on course, or do you need just like a list of different topics that are recommended for you to study, and then you can just study that on your own? One big tip when it comes to Spanish learning resources is that you don't have too many all at one time in front of you, right? So you don't want to be switching from like a Duolingo app to a textbook that you have to another online Spanish course that you're taking, because you're not going to get that far in each of those. Make sure that you try out multiple methods to learn the Spanish language. For example, you can use flashcards, you can talk out loud, listen to Spanish radio, talking with native Spanish speakers, whether that's through a language exchange application or whether that's with native Spanish speakers within your own community. Thinking in Spanish, writing in Spanish, watching YouTube videos. There's a ton that you can find that are going to be able to explain vocabulary and grammar concepts, and then also just for listening comprehension as well. So listening to Spanish conversations. You have, Netflix, so for TV shows, una telenovela. There's reading in Spanish, listening to music, watching TV, and then any other Spanish learning applications that you can find. As you can see, there's a lot of different ways to learn the Spanish language, but I definitely wanted to supply you with those so you can start thinking more towards the future. For example, let's say that one method doesn't work for you. Okay, you can switch to another one. For me, I know if I try to listen to an audiobook in Spanish, I am not going to listen to it. I'm not going to comprehend anything, and I get distracted very easily. But if I actually read a physical book, I'm a lot more attentive and I learn a lot faster that way. Maybe studying flashcards is not the best for you. You don't like to just do this to remember Spanish vocabulary. So instead, you can start using sticky notes or a different method. So like with sticky notes, for example, let's do this. I have my book here. So what I'm going to do is just write el libro. Take this, put it on my book, and then every time that I see my book, I'm going to make that connection between el libro and the physical book that I'm seeing. So that's what I mean when it comes to just having a variety of different ways that you can study, so you can always make it fun and be the owner of your Spanish learning journey. Another reason to use multiple methods is so you can have a deeper knowledge of the language. So for example, if you're just looking at this every single day, right? Okay, you finally understand what the translation of book is in Spanish, right? And that's el libro. But then to go farther, you would want to be able to read it in context, like in a book or in a news article. Then you're also going to be you're going to want to be able to listen to it or be able to pick it out in a song, or you're going to want to pick it out in a TV show that you're watching. So you're also working on your listening comprehension. But then on the other side, you're going to want to learn how to pronounce this word properly. And that's when the method of speaking out loud comes into play. So you have all these different methods that really reinforce just this one word, el libro. With all this being said, I also want you to start immersing yourself in Spanish culture starting today, because that is also an incredibly important aspect of learning the Spanish language. You're not just learning a lot of verbs and verb conjugations and grammar concepts, but you are learning about different countries, because a lot of Spanish words you're going to be hearing are coming from different countries within Latin America. This is crucial for you to have a deeper knowledge in the Spanish language, and so you can connect with Spanish speakers, because a big part of learning the Spanish language is to communicate with the native speakers. One example I love that really shows the connection between the Spanish culture and the Spanish language is the word agua. Now, agua in English means water, but in Mexico, they would say, or they change that word up a little bit and they use aguas. Now, aguas means to watch out. But normally when we try to say this particular phrase, to watch out, in Spanish, we would say ten cuidado. So that just shows you right there how one particular country can use a word like agua to change the meaning completely. Surround yourself each day with the Spanish language, with Spanish culture. You don't have to do it only if you're traveling to a country in Latin America. You can start today. Even as a beginner, you can do this. You don't have to have 100% comprehension to be able to enjoy a Spanish song or to even enjoy a telenovela, like a Spanish TV show or a Spanish movie. So you can just sit and listen to all these new instruments and all these different accents so you can adapt your ears to this whole new environment. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions about starting to learn the Spanish language. Check out the links in the description box of this video for more Spanish learning resources. Esto es Spanish Blueprints, me llamo Josué, and have fun learning Spanish today. Nos vemos en el próximo video.